Since I made a video on Borderlands pre-sequel, I figured I would start with the next most hated game in the community of Borderlands, and that would obviously be Tiny Tina Wonderlands. And I honestly don't understand why there's so much hate and why so many YouTubers, they're just kind of copying one of another. With all due respect, they saying that the game failed, and in terms of the community, obviously it did, but that's because there's a lot of criticism, from what I understand at least. There's a lot of criticism from the fandom and the higher up YouTubers that in the community still, that that didn't really give it a good reputation. And now I'm not putting all the blame on everyone else but the creators. But honestly, just like with pre-sequel, there's always two sides to the coin, as is with all gaming. And I think that if we just took a moment out of our time to look at the perfections of the game instead of the negatives, then we might have a better perspective upon it, and then the community and the franchise as a whole would grow. But that is just my little opinion aside. But I'm going to start off by saying that why I think that Tiny Tina Wonderlands is such a good game is because of the magical fantasy element. And I know a lot of people don't like it because it kind of breaks the immersion of being Borderlands. But let's be honest, Borderlands isn't exactly the most realistic. It's not the most realistic when it comes to games, and the franchise has never been the most realistic. And I mean that in every single way, and I know that a lot of people don't like the magical fantasy element, even though a lot of people don't like, a lot of YouTubers, they don't really flat out say that they don't like it, but I know for a fact it's because of the nostalgia part of it, and that is why Tiny Tina Wonderlands is not called Borderlands Tiny Tina Wonderlands, because it's kind of like an experiment, at least from what I understand. It would make sense for it to be a experiment on the creator's part of because if you really just stop and think about it, it really truly is just an experiment that they're trying out. And honestly, I really liked the direction that they was going in. Now, in terms of graphics, I really wish they would have just stuck with Borderlands 2's color shade, and I think it would have been really successful if they would have just done that, and they would have added a magical fantasy to that. That I feel like that would is what the fans want, to feel that nostalgia again, to see that color, that graphic again. At least that's what I want to see anyways. Comment if you agree. But what else was I going to say? I know sometimes I stop in my videos, and I notice a lot of people, well, a lot of YouTubers don't do that, but I just do that to think, so I say what I want to say precisely. But the next thing I would have to say, aside from the magical elements that I really enjoy about this game, it would have to be the guns. I really honestly like that added the ice variants again, the ice cryo weapons. I feel like that is what kept the game really together. Is the new, like adding in, it, what they know for a fact is a what they know for a fact is what the fans want. Like cryo, for example, a lot of fans been wanting that and wanted that in Borderlands 3, even though it's not exactly the most realistic, but this is what the franchise is known for. That's why it's kind of confusing when people don't like, they don't, from what I understand, they don't like the how unrealistic Tiny Tina Wonderlands is. In a way, I feel like they kind of don't like it. But that aside, I really enjoy the guns. That's what I think makes the game really a Borderlands game. Even though it's not Borderlands, it's a little kind of like its own little, not franchise, but it's a little side. It's like a side game, and I really like the way they did the guns and they added new magical. They added new variants, new magical variants to the guns, like the dark magic is just banned. It's one of the best things they've ever done in the community, and I can make a whole video about that. Cryo and dark magic is just such a good combination together. I could sit here and just think about that all day, how much of a great combination that is. But I realized that I'm kind of talking about the variants of the guns, the elements of the guns, and not really the guns themselves. But obviously that is a huge aspect of them. But because you can't really, it's pretty rare to come across a gun in Tiny Tina Wonderlands that isn't a variant that is talked about, that doesn't have a elemental variant. I mean, that is actually talked about, that is spoken of. But if I actually had the focus on the guns themselves, I really do like the designs, but I really wish they would have allowed us to have gun skins. I don't know why they didn't allow us to, because it's in Borderlands 3, but they didn't give us the capacity to be able to make, to be able to have gun skins. And another thing I really don't like is the fact that they didn't give us guns that were necessarily alive. They didn't give us a lot of guns that were alive. Actually, I don't think any of the guns were alive. Like, I like the radiation guns, I think they are, that actually have like eyes and like they have like they move around. It's just interesting in my opinion. But in terms of the guns, I'm focusing on something I even should in this video, but I do feel it's important to add that, so it's fine. But in terms of the guns, I really like their designs, and I really like the variants, the elemental variants they gave to them. It gives them a unique, fresher air compared to Borderlands 3, and that's why I say it's better than Borderlands 3 in my opinion, because it's like a breath of fresh air. And I know a lot of people, that's not what they was wanting necessarily when they came to play the game. But at launch, people liked it a lot. But I guess they didn't feel Borderlands enough for them to enjoy it. But as I was saying, it's not really Borderlands. It's kind of like a side game, but a little experiment. But what else is there that makes this game so great? I would have to say the environments. The environments are pretty, they are pretty unique. And I I really like this. The environments are honestly really beautiful. It's just I really miss that color, that type of graphics, the color shade, the shade that they used to have. Man, it would look so much more beautiful if they kept the shade they had. But that aside, the graphics as they are now, they do look beautiful, and I really do enjoy them. And I do enjoy the fact that they put dead things in the background and things that are alive in the background too. They don't put too many things that are alive in the background that you can notice, but there are some in the background that you notice. But the dead things, it adds to the world, like the bones they put in there. I know a lot of people that actually like that aspect of the environments, adding bones and adding there's a huge dead fish, and then there's a part of the game where you can go see like an ocean. A couple parts of the game you can see like an ocean and fish in the background. It's just, it's really, it's a breath of fresh air compared to Borderlands 3 in my opinion, because you only see enemies, and then you do see planets, just not, it's not as like, it's not like in Borderlands and Tiny Tina Wonderlands is what I'm trying to say here, is it's more, you can grasp it, you can I don't want to say understand it, but you can you can like almost feel it, like the background, the environment. You can almost feel how realistic it is for the game. As in Borderlands 3, the environment you kind of just expect the environment to look like that, and in Tiny Tina Wonderlands, the environment is just it's more unique and a bit different, which is good. It's a breath of fresh air compared to Borderlands 3, that is. But I think I said everything I really need to say about the environment. So moving on, I would have to say it would be the characters. And holy hell, I like this one skeleton character. I forgot his name. It's honestly been a while since I played the game. I'll talk a bit about that in the future, why I kind of stopped playing the game. But the reason that I really like the characters is because they feel like they're a part of the actual environment, like they're actually meant to be there. And one of my favorites is obviously, like I said, the skeleton characters. And one of them, he had like a little poetry thing going on, and honestly, it was the best part of the entire game was because I don't know, it just, the best part of the game was him for me, because it just, in that moment I could really feel like the poetry he was singing, and it was truly amazing. Honestly, it felt like truly like a fantasy environment there when he was singing. And I don't want to just focus on him, but he truly was my favorite part of the entire game, if I had to be honest. Another great character they added was Torg, of course, and even though he had only somewhat to do with the story, which is actually kind of unfortunate because I love Torg, but when he was in the story, he felt like Torg. He blew up the ocean. Torg. I like that about that, and that adds in with the story. The story aspect of it. They blend the characters well with the story. It being a short story. That's a takeaway from it, and that's why he wasn't involved. Some of the characters weren't really involved in there. Like they felt kind of minor, but they still felt like actual characters, and that's what makes it a great aspect of it, the characters. And of course, that goes with all the games, usually. With every game, you gotta have your characters that interact and actually feel a part of the world. And I think that Borderlands, Tiny Tina Wonderlands, I keep on kind of getting that mixed up, but Tiny Tina Wonderlands, I think, does that so well that it's the best in the franchise in terms of adding that to the story. Aside from Borderlands 2, of course, Handsome Jack beats that, but that is pretty obvious for most of you. But let me think here. The next part of that I want to talk about would be, well, I was going to say the mechanics, because there's quite a few mechanics that they kept in there that I'm actually quite glad that they did. That is, the sliding, the sliding, and you can when you slide, it can knock back a barrel into an enemy. That was amazing. That is amazing. And I already talked about the variance of the game, which is obviously a part of the mechanics. And I was going to maybe talk about another perk of the game would have to be another reason why the game is so great, in my opinion, is it's great for starters. And I know a lot of people might be kind of somewhat confused about that, so let me explain. Why it's such a good game for starters is because of the simple fact that you can level up super fast. Excuse me. You can level up like super fast on this game. It's actually like it's kind of crazy, but also really, really fun in my opinion. And what makes it more like the most unique out of the entire franchise is that aspect that you can level up faster than any game in the franchise, which makes it great for starters, because a lot of people, especially me, feel that Borderlands games are just kind of too hard, like sometimes, and they take a very long time to level up. So for a starter, I think that being able to level up super fast and get a glimpse somewhat into how good skill trees can be in this franchise will be really, really good for future players, because then they'll want to go back and play the other games in the Borderlands franchise to feel a different experience, to feel it on a more harder mode. And don't get me wrong, if you really want hard, all you got to do is just go through the chaos levels once you are able to, of course. But excuse me again. I really think that's why Tiny Tina Wonderlands is just such a good game. It's, if you allow it, it's such a breath of fresh air compared to the other games. That's why it's called Tiny Tina Wonderlands and not Borderlands Tiny Tina Wonderlands. I know I said that already. I'm just saying, it's truly unique to the others, and I think that people they don't really look into that aspect of the game. They're always they're comparing it to Borderlands, and Borderlands, of course, Tiny Tina Wonderlands is a part of the franchise, but it's not, it's like a side game. They're experimenting with it, and I think they did a pretty good job. Now, there are a lot of problems with it, sure, but in my personal opinion, it's honestly not as bad as people are trying to make it out to be. in the community, and I get some of the frustration, but some of it I just kind of confused a bit on it, and I have some theories, but I don't really want to talk about that on here, you know. But I think that's really honestly what I all had to say. And I know I've been a little bit, you know, here and there in this video, but that's just how I am. And I got a bit of a speech, like a speech difficulty sometimes. But I know that people understand. I know that people will understand that. I just on it sometimes, but because it honestly sometimes bothers me. But I really hope you guys like this video, and if you did, please comment, like, share, and check out my Patreon, and check out my links as well, because I'm an author. I had made books before, and I still am working on some. But with all that out of the way, this is Brian the King, out.